What's up? This is Yelnats. How have you guys been? Some of you might be wondering, why is he wearing this beanie? Well, let me spill the beans. Today we're going to attempt to make a song from scratch using only beans. Let's get started. First thing we need to do is record our bean samples. Alright, so we have our bowl of beans. Today I'm using Cooner's no salt added. Now I'm just going to play around with the beans and try to get a bunch of different samples. Alright, cool beans. I'm going to try to find something I can use for a kick. Alright, so we got this little bean splash right here. I'm going to drag it into a drum rack. I'm going to pitch this down. I'm going to add a saturator, an EQ. Let's cut off most of the high end on there, boost the low end. I'm going to put a compressor on there, limiter. There we go. All right, so we got something kind of resembling a kick. Now we're going to try to make a snare. All right, I think this sound will work well as a snare. All right, for the snare, I'm going to add a saturator. I think I'm going to pitch it down a little bit too. I'm going to add a compressor to the snare. Cool beans, I think we have a decent snare and kick. Let's move on to the hi-hat. All right, I think this little click right here will work well as a hi-hat. All right, we really didn't have to do much for the hi-hat. Who knew that a bean splash would make such a good hi-hat? All right, so let's go ahead and make a bean drum pattern. I'm going to try to work on the kick a little bit. It doesn't quite sound the way I want it to. All right, the kick's sounding a little bit better. I'm going to add some triplets in here to the hi-hats. I'm just adding some bean triplets. All right, cool beans. We have a pretty decent splash bean drum loop. So let's try to make some kind of melody. So I'm going to take this sample from when we poured the beans into the bowl and drag it into a simpler. It doesn't really sound like much right now, but I'm going to try to bring some kind of pitch out of there. I'm probably going to try to use an EQ. I'm going to cut out all the frequencies except for stuff around this C right here and see if that gives us anything good. All right, so we have our bean splash sample tuned to a C. What I'm gonna do is resample it to an audio track. All right, so I'm dragging our bean splash sample into another simpler. All right, so now we have a nice little bean synth we can play. I'm gonna add some reverb to this. All right, so I'm going to quickly record a melody using the bean synth. All right, so we got our bean melody. Cool beans. All right, so now we need to come up with a bean splash bass. For the bass, I'm actually going to copy this simpler. All right, so the bean splash synth actually sounds decent as a sub bass if we pitch it down a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and record a loop using our bean splash sub bass. All right, I think I'm gonna add a saturator to the bean splash bass. I got the bean splash, give me them beans. All right, so we got a pretty decent loop. We have our bean drums, our bean lead synth, and a bean bass. I think the last thing I want to do is record a live bean percussion loop. When recording bean percussion, make sure you have some kind of towel or paper towel around. The bean splashes might get on your equipment. All right, so we got our bean percussion. Let's see how that sounds. All right, I really like the first half of the bean splash percussion, so I'm just gonna copy this to the second half. All right, guys, cool beans. I think we have a pretty decent bean beat here. Let's hear the final bean splash product. I think we did it. I think we made a beat completely out of beans. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned how to make a beat using only beans. Follow me on IG at Yellnats, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Beans, boy. I got them beans. Bring me the beans, boy. I need some beans.